Hello, welcome to RTV. Under the program of teaching English to the sheep, we are now doing the 10th lesson. This lesson is about, what is a job? Normally, in villages, towns, even in cities, people keep talking about that we have to look for a job. Now, there are various understandings of this thing called job. Mostly people think that job means those who go to some office, sit in a chair and at a desk or at a table and do some paperwork. That kind of a thing they say is job. No, actually job does not mean that. Anything that you do that results in productivity, in creating something that yesterday it was not there in the same form, or earlier it was not there, that you try to create in a new form or expand it further and further wherever it is. Take for example, a farmer starts early morning and goes to the field and tills the land. That's a job. A mother goes into the kitchen and cooks the food. That is a job. Or somebody is driving the vehicle as a wage earner. That is a job. Or somebody is sitting in the office and writing some files. That is a job. Or somebody is sitting before a computer now and working, sitting in India with an American company or with a British company or with a Chinese company. That is a job. Now when people do job, what is that they get out of it? That is very important. See, if you go and sit in front of a place, whether it is a house or a temple or a studio or something, and then say something about that place or talk to somebody there or you discuss something there, that's not job. Job is something which a new creative activity or useful activity for the human life has to take place. Take for example, a person in a village goes to the paddy field and then irrigates the paddy so that the paddy field does not get dry. That is the most useful job that a human being is doing. Because when the paddy field sustains itself and gives rise to ripened paddy, and then that paddy turns into rice and rice is cooked at home and then human beings eat, that's how life survival is there. Or let us say 2-3 persons together are taking out a dead cattle, and they took the dead cattle out of the village and they skinned the dead cattle carefully to see that there is no hole to the skin, because anyway after the cattle is dead There is no pain to the cattle then. The dead body is like any other wood or any other lifeless thing. So, but from that lifeless animal, these people take out the skin and then they apply to that skin various chemical ingredients, like if they apply to the skin salt and then see that the salt gets absorbed into the skin and then gradually the skin turns into a leather, and they see that that is dipped into lime water and then wash it clean and then oil it properly and then make bags, ropes out of that skin. It is a great job that human beings are doing by taking the skin of a dead animal. Normally, human beings don't do that with the human body itself. They don't skin human body and then convert human skin into leather. That is not considered to be useful or good work. And we don't know whether human skin can become a leather and that leather can be used for bags or anything. So far, there is no such experiment. Now, these experiments are not done in the cities and laboratories in big buildings. First, these experiments were done in small villages only. And experiments were done those who were living in that village only. Now, unfortunately, those who did this great technical job of skinning a dead cattle and then converting that skin into leather are treated as untouchables. In fact, they are more sacred people because they created a new useful rope for further tilling the land, or they created a bag, or they created human instruments that are useful for human beings. Now that is a great job. And that was the first industrial work that human beings started with a dead animal's skin, and they also take bones. Once the animal is left there, sometimes birds eat it, or sometimes jackals eat, or some animals which eat, or sometimes human beings themselves eat animal flesh as food in ancient, medieval, even now. But mostly human beings don't eat naturally dead animal flesh. They kill for food purpose and eat it. Now, this job that these human beings are doing, is it sacred or not? Is it a job that God created with a purpose of human survival or not? Whether God likes this work or not? No. If the society is living around the idea of God, this is the most divine work that God is functioning. Now then you go to another work. There is this pot makers. What do? The pot makers go around the villages and look at the soils around the village, whether which kind of soil can become a clay, and then how to mix that clay, what ingredients should be added to the clay, and then how a clay ball should be kept on the wheel that they already make in order to create an environment of turning the wheel to make a pot. Now, this is a remarkable engineering skill. It's a great job. Look at the life process. People have to go and find out which soil can turn into pot. All soils cannot turn into pots. Only certain soils can turn into pots. So once they bring that soil and mix with water and other chemicals like ash and other things, and then they make balls and then put the ball on a wheel which they made with a lot of technology, and then make pot out of that process. It's a great job. It is not just going and sitting in the office writing just file, or I write books. Okay, if I write a book, the book is read by thousands of people across the world. That facility is there. But book writing work is not greater than leather work or pot work. Book writing work is equal kind of a work like leather work and pot work. But leather work and pot work are more fundamental. Even without books, societies lived. Villages, when I was a child, in my village, there were no persons who were reading book at all. We didn't know book in the village. Occasionally somebody used to show a notebook kind of a thing, but we never knew book, because in the village there were no educated people, and there were no people who were writing books or reading books, but people were living. People were very friendly. People were producing leather goods, pots. People were looking after cattle. People were producing food. Was that not great than writing a book? So what happened in our life was, what is more useful was treated as useless. That is a very big problem in India. What is most useful, what is most respectable, then what is in other language, what is most divine, is condemned. No, that's a very bad way of looking at our own human job doers. They are all job doers. Or from there you go to a weaver. What does a weaver do? The weaver gets cotton, very raw cotton, and makes cotton into rope, threads, and they make a very thin thread, and gradually from that cotton threads they weave clothes. It's a great scientific work. Human beings once upon a time were covering themselves not to be naked with leaves. Perhaps in India before the Harappan time and so on. Now after that, human beings started skinning the dead animal, and skin became the leather, the cloth. They used to cover their bodies with skin. And then gradually they started weaving clothes from various kinds of threads. And finally, cotton thread and cotton cloth weaving has come. Now they are all great human beings doing great jobs. So job, in other words, is a work that becomes useful for human life, whether of our own life or the other human beings around us. So it is not necessary to do only one kind of job. One job may be getting more salary or more money, or another job less. We have to go towards a society where every job gets more or less same kind of money in future. Thank you.
సబ్స్క్రైబ్
సబ్స్క్రైబ్
RTV
RTV Telugu.
RTV తెలుగు
RTV తెలుగు